last week, they were completely rammed. They were filled up to the gunnels, they were queuing down the street. They said, you should have been here last week. I swear, you should have been here last week. Oh yeah, you should have been here last week.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of You Should Have Been Here Last Week, the podcast hosted by myself, Steve Gribben, and fellow comedian Paul Ricketts.
Hi guys, are we good?
You Should Have Been Here Last Week is the podcast about all aspects of the comedy industry, from promotion, stand-ups, joke writing, money, and car shares. Every 2 weeks we interview the bookers, the grinders, the minders, the seekers, the truth speakers, the soothsayers, the big players that go to make up this biz that we call comedy. And today's guest is stand-up comedian, writer, actor, musician, podcaster, and all-round funny fecker, the one and only Mr. Ben Norris. Welcome to the show, Ben.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Nice intro.
Yeah, it's great.
How many episodes are we in, by the way? It's just good to know
51.
how much. Great. It's good to know that I'm the 51st person that you thought of.
Yeah.
That's touching.
We always start by asking the obvious question. I mean, when did you get started?
Early 90s, I was a comedy fan. I had discovered alternative comedy, as it was called back then. And I used to go to a venue called the Cartoon in Clapham, which you all remember, Steve.
Oh, my God.
I used to drive up with a few of my friends from Guildford, Farnham kind of area, and on a Friday night, and I just thought it was the most incredible thing that people with a microphone and nothing else could entertain 250 people jammed into a room. It was quite early in the days of alternative comedy, so the people who went there saw themselves as aficionados, didn't they? So the punters, some of them were wankers, if we're absolutely honest. There were people who used to go to that gig who thought they were the funny, and they would brutally heckle any sign of weakness. And it was a good gig because it used to put on open spots, and all the best gigs did that. But some of these audiences were horrific when they saw somebody who was nervous or new. But I have to say, back in those days, I saw that as part of the circus of the whole thing. It was absolutely amazing. So that's how I started being a fan. I was a fan, and then I decided to approach my local arts centre, the West End Centre at Aldershot. And I said, because I used to play in bands, and we used to play there quite a lot. And I said to the guy who ran the place, why don't you put on alternative comedy? And he was like, we don't really know much about that. And I was saying, oh, it's brilliant. I go to this club, and I told him all about it. And he said, you sound like you should be the promoter. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I'll give you one Sunday a month and you can book some acts and bring them to Aldershot. So I went back to the Cartoon at Clapham, stood at the back with my little notebook and a pen. And when people came off that I liked, I'd go up to them and say, would you like to come and have a gig in Aldershot? And first of all, they'd be like, not sure. And I say, it's a Sunday. They'd be like, yeah, I'm available. Because, Sunday gigs are... like hen's teeth. And in those days, quite often I'd book a bill of acts who lived in London. They'd share a car. They'd come down on a Sunday. We could only afford to pay 3 acts, so I would host it. And obviously I wasn't a comic, but I did like it, 3 pints. So 3 pints, and I was suddenly a compere. And I used to just get a little, I was a young man then. I would never do this now. I'd just get a little bit of Dutch courage and get on. And I just used to talk shit for, 10 minutes and then bring on the first act. And the audience were quite nice to me because they knew I was bringing the comics. So they viewed me as a sort of useful idiot, I suppose. And but I did that for 2 years, every month for 2 years. And then I booked lots of legends of the circuit back then, people like Ivor Dembina and Noel James, who was a particular fan of. Coggers, of course, Ian Cognito.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Dave Thompson. And then one other time I booked Alan Francis, and it was Alan that said, he did really well at the gig, and he said after the show, hey, you've got something. I think you should think about doing stand-up. And then he told me about the open mic circuit in London, and it had never crossed my mind to do that. But I started going to a place that he'd recommended. I think it was in something like Harlesden, and I'd come all the way up from Guildford to go to some dodgy little pub, and in this downstairs damp basement, they had an open mic night, I think on Monday evenings. And you had to turn up at 6 and write your name in a book and just wait to go on. And every week the winner won £25 and a bottle of Prosecco or something. And I came second a couple of times, but I never won it. Paul Tonkinson won it one week, and that's how I met Paul. So that was back in those days where Paul was an open mic as well.
Wow. When you were growing up, did you have any sort of comedy heroes yourself that you really looked up to and admired?
I loved Tony Hancock, even though he was long before my time, really. But my dad was a huge Hancock fan, and he had all of the Hancock's half hours on cassette tape. And for some God knows what reason, my parents bought a caravan in Lincolnshire, but we would often go for the weekend. I think they liked it because it had an on-site pub. And my parents used to leave us in the caravan. It was the 70s. Parents used to do that, didn't they? They'd be like,
yes.
just don't open the door. If anyone knocks on the door, don't open it unless it's us. And they would go off and get pissed. But anyway, the point is that for 4.5 hours there and 4.5 hours back, my dad would play Hancock's half-hour cassettes. And as kids, we just sat there transfixed by these weird sort of comic stories. And that must have been a big influence. And then as a teenager, I think I saw Steve Martin's The Jerk, that film, and I got it on VHS and couldn't stop playing it. It was just so funny. They hate these cans, some of those lines, some of the lines in that film, and you just play it over and over again. And so I got a real taste for just the art of the gag, I suppose, and the performance of and being funny. Oh, and I was in, I guess, my around my 16, 17, 18, that sort of age, I was hanging around with a group of sort of vegetarian anarchist punk hunt saboteurs in Farnham area, and that was my youth culture, really. Sharing squats with people who could just as easily have gone home and stayed with mum and dad. Great days,
Great days.
But I was one of the younger ones in that group, and I think they saw me as the court jester. I was a sort of funny, weird tiny little punk kid who looked about, when I was 17, I looked no older than 12. So I think that made me exaggerate the funny side of my personality. And in that group, I was always trying to make these older, cool kids laugh. And I think that formed who I became. But I did grow. I'm 6 foot tall now and a proper man.
So I've got a ridiculous question based on sartorial elegance, because you came to my attention as the comic who wore double denim.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, unashamedly, yeah.
Yeah, and did you ever get to triple denim? Did you really go the whole hog?
I mean, if you could get denim socks, then I would have done that. But I don't think so. No, I think double's enough. I think triple would be like an extremist. And
I'm disappointed.
There's too many of them in the world.
I did triple denim.
Oh, can you talk me through that? Was it a waistcoat?
No, it's of course, obviously, denim trousers, denim jacket, and then the denim shirt. And
wow.
That is your triple denim.
It doesn't work for me. I mean, I bet you looked great, but
no, I looked terrible. I mean, it was a bad time in my life. I was mentally going through bad. That's why I did it. It was.
Did you have a partner at the time?
No, I just lost the partner. It's one of those ones where the band broke up, your partner left you. I know what I'll do. I'll start wearing triple denim. It's one of them.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, Paul, what did you do if it actually rained heavily? Because denim shirts, when they got wet, they were sort of like, they went really heavy, didn't they?
Oh, well, at that particular point in my life, I was staying in either a lot or being in the pub a lot.
True.
It was one of those two things, in between bits. Didn't last that long. It was one or the other.
We wanted to talk quickly about because, I mean, you got onto the stand-up circuit, but you also had a stint, didn't you? Was it in the 90s working for MTV?
I had a sort of brief period of time in the 90s. I'd just got an agent, like a proper TV agent who'd seen me at Edinburgh. And I started getting put up for things, sort of presentery jobs. And they were looking for comics everywhere. And I got a gig on MTV. It was a show called MTV Hot, and it ran. It was on UK MTV, of course, not all over the world. And it ran, I think it was 7 till 8 every day of the week with different presenters each day of the week. And all the presenters of the show were comics. And Richard Blackwood as well. Only kidding. No, he did. No, of course he's a comic. He's a great comic. He was one of the original people on it. Ed Byrne and Brendan Burns did a show together. Paul Tonkinson did it. In fact, I think I took over the day that when he dropped out, I took over his day, Tuesdays, I think I was. And I did that for about 8 months. They put you in a little white studio with like one of those cameras up there that you just sort of stared into like that. And when I first started doing it, they'd show you the videos that you would be throwing to. So you were meant to kind of improvise a link to, whoever it might be, Metallica or Puff Daddy or, whatever. And so you'd have time to sit. In fact, when I first got the gig, there was a sort of writer who would sit with you and help write these links. And within about 6 weeks, they had started to economise on the show, and they got rid of him. And then there used to be like a cameraman and a director in the little studio with you, and then they got rid of one of them. So it was just in the end, it was just like some sort of work, work experience girl saying, go. And I was literally just, they wouldn't even show me the videos. I wouldn't know what the videos were. So I had to fill 2.5 minutes, 15 times, you know what I mean? And then they'd stick them into the videos later. So I was just standing in this white room once a week going, hey, I got some new shoes. I can't show them, they're down here. Wow, it's autumn now, isn't it? It's cold, right? I don't know, just talking absolute baloney. And I've got some video cassettes that I need to digitize because I think it'd be really fun to have a look at the unbelievable crap I got away with. But that led to a few opportunities. I got courted a bit by XFM and Radio 1. I did pilots for both those stations, and they decided to go ahead without me. So that didn't lead to anything. Then MTV dropped me, and so that was that little section of my life. And then I had a few other opportunities. I just had bits of luck here and there that led to something, but not to the full thing. So I did quite a lot of TV warm up, and sometimes that got me onto a show. I created a sort of a bit of a relationship with a guy called Harry Thompson, who used to work for Talkback. He was very big in Talkback, hugely important guy. And he seemed to really like me, and he got me to come in and help write on some shows and warm up for some shows. And then he put me as a guest on They Think It's All Over and Never Mind the Buzzcocks. And it was going very well. And then very sadly, Harry died very prematurely and very sadly. And that was the sort of end of that relationship, really, because I don't think anyone else he was working with knew that he was sort of, he was training me up, really. So that was that. And then the 90s finished, and I got married and had kids.
Yeah, I mean,
sorry, that was such a final way of. And then my life was great, and then got married
and had kids. Yeah.
No, and then I concentrated on becoming a consummate live stand-up, which is what I'd always wanted to be. I didn't want to be on TV or the radio or stuff like that, because that kind of money would have destroyed me. And
could you tell us in great detail how it would have destroyed you? In what way?
Well, I mean, imagine being able to afford everything you want. That's just, it's not good for people.
No, it's not. It's not. It's nothing that's ever affected me in my life. Did you get close to it, Steve? Any particular point? Afford everything?
Imagine all the denim you could wear.
I know.
Come and head to foot in it. But the thing is, at the same time you were doing that, you still carried on. You never gave up. You were always doing stand-up at the same time.
Oh, yeah, always doing stand-up, because that's the thing, isn't it? That's your trade. And then I think to be a professional stand-up, you have to be on the lookout for any of those other little things where you can use your skills. So whether it be a corporate gig or a TV advert, I did quite a lot of TV ads back in those days as well. They were all beer commercials. I don't know why, but I just ended up being the other bloke in the pub. All right, a few of those.
Was it in the script? The other bloke in the pub.
Yeah. One of them was for Carling Extra Cold, and it was a really weird advert. Me and the three other actors were basically meant to be football lads who'd gone on a holiday to Venice. God knows why football lads would be in Venice, but that's where we were. And the gag of the advert was that our fourth friend, he's sitting on a sofa, his girlfriend finds something down the back of the sofa, and it's tickets to go to Venice. She goes, "Oh, what? You were going to surprise me? How lovely!" And he's like, "Yeah." And the gag is that he wasn't going to go with her at all. He was coming to meet us, and we're all in the hotel, and he appears on this gondola with her, and then walks in, and she sees us and drops the cases and looks furiously at him, and that was sort of the gag. But I got the gig the night before we went to Venice. So obviously someone had pulled out or something, but I got a call from the agent at like 8 o'clock in the evening saying, "Can you be at the airport at 5 a.m? You're going to Venice." And I was like, okay. And, mental. Flew off to Venice, got on I seem to remember, we got on a boat at the airport. This is how I remember it. And we were straight into the canal systems of Venice and taken to this ludicrously posh hotel where we were staying and also filming. Said to the production people, just said, "There's a bar here, you can help yourself," and just put it all on the tab. Jesus. This was me and two other young actors. It was ridiculous. We drank the bar dry and nearly had a fight with one of the other actors because I was talking about my issues with nationalism and he was a Scot. And next thing I know, he's got his hands around my throat. And the other, we've been drinking whiskey, and the other actor had to break us up. Anyway, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. We're woken up to start a day of filming, and we look like. You imagine what we look like.
Yeah.
And then when we thought they've done this deliberately because we look like what we were meant to look like, which was three geezers on a football tour, and we were. Oh man, that was horrible. That was the worst. Having the worst hangover you've ever had in your life, but filming the same scene 250 times. Let's just go one more time, fellas. You're like, oh Jesus, hey. Yeah.
Did you get any criticism from your the people that used to be sort of like very tight with the anarcho punk sort of lot?
I lost touch with most of them, and the only ones that I still knew from that era had probably grown to the point where they would recognise a struggling comic being a bloke in an advert is not, we'd failed to smash capitalism anyway. Do you know what I mean? We gave it a go.
Yeah. I have to say that we did a skit video, did an advert for double decker chocolate bars in 1985 at the height of our sort of, association with Red Wedge, etc. We got such shit for it.
Right.
We actually did it during the Edinburgh Festival, and we flew back as well. And I remember just being accosted in the loft bar by somebody going, "You fucking traitor."
The way I see this is, if you're being used as an actor or a bit of talent or whatever it is in an advert, but no one knows who you are, I think that's fine. I think once you're famous and you're selling you to sell the product, that's different. Then the money's got to be really good.
I would take any money. I disagree with you strongly. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's rubbish. Why do we get you on this bloody show? You've annoyed me.
Paul is available. Paul is available for
Constantly.
any products.
Yeah.
Warheads.
To Venice.
Anusol,
Machine
you name
guns.
it. I'll be the face of it.
Did you say anusol?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
You don't see many adverts for that, do you, really? But
No, I was going to make up my own because I was trying to encourage people to put ads in this podcast, and I thought we should do our own ads, and I even wrote a little tune for Anusol.
I'd like to hear that one day.
Yes, but we'll do it in private, as you should do with this week. So we would go back. I could switch into the art of stand-up then. You speak about it like it's a vocation. It's beyond a vocation. It's like it's a drug. You can't stop doing it.
Do you know what? I really hope that doesn't sound pretentious, but I definitely, I think when you get, let's say 3/4 of the way through your life, which who knows. Who knows?
Who knows?
You by then, if you've been doing something for over half of it, it ought to be an important thing to you. I mean, if it's obviously if it's something creative where you're in control of the quality of it, you need to. I think you need to love it, and also because it's hard to sustain. I think it's hard to sustain your interest in it and your love for it, and to write new material and all the traveling and the adrenaline addiction. I think it's not for everyone. Let's be honest. That's why most people we know who are good comics are mentally ill, aren't they? There's something there's something a bit unhinged about wanting to do it and being able to do it, because for most people they'd see 150, 200 people sitting on chairs in a room waiting to be entertained, would look round the door and think, I couldn't bear the thought of going up there and being the next person standing in front of those people. That for most people, that would be a natural instinct to avoid that at all costs. Whereas for the likes of us, it's like, I can do that. That's something I can do. I might be crap in loads of other areas of my life, but I can do that. And then if you're doing it, you want to try and do it as well as you can. And also, I think, it takes so many years to get really good at this, I think. Find out what's funny about you, jettison all the stuff that you realise is very generic and just hack. But everyone starts out mimicking something that they already love. And I think stand-up's like that. You kind of start off doing various versions of lots of people that you like, and then you get rid of the layers and become the funny that you are.
Because we've had a lot of people on here talking about finding your own voice, etc. Can you remember a sort of a period or a moment where you thought, well, this is it, I've actually found it now?
A big moment was Pete Harris from Screaming Blue Murder offered me a residency as resident host at a new club he was opening in Wimbledon Village every Friday night. And I still had a day job at the time, and he came to see me somewhere, and he said, I want you to be my resident compere. And he was so fantastically positive and gave me such a boost in my self-belief. He said, I want you to do some material, but I want you to always improvise a bit and just go up there fearlessly. And, we've got a good bill of acts, so it's not all hinged on you. But Pete Harris was very much, have fun. And that was such a lovely thing to be told by what appeared to be a proper grown-up at the time, And then he said, after a few months of being the resident host at this gig, maybe even less, I turned up one Friday and I was quite tired. And because I'd been working all week doing bloody printing or whatever it was I was doing at the time. And Pete said, I think you need to give up your day job, which is like the exact opposite of what, sensible people say. Don't give up your day job is the old cliche. And he said, give up your day job because you need to believe that you're a professional comic, and you won't be one until you believe that you are. And he said, if you give up your day job, your diary will fill up. I took his advice, and I gave up my day job. He took me to Edinburgh that summer. I think that was 90. I can never remember. It's 96 or 97, about then. And I started to believe I was a comic. You know what I mean? And then suddenly I got a bit of a redundancy with my job. Bought a car. I told off the curb that I could compare and that I had a car. And off the curb suddenly gave me hundreds of gigs, because a compare who can drive the other acts home was very valuable in those days.
Yeah.
So that was it. It took off. I suddenly was doing 4 or 5 gigs a week, and gave up my day job. I was a pro comic and have been ever since. Yeah.
So what about the motorbike then?
I've got a motorbike. Yeah. I like that option, you know. Car when it's horrible weather, motorbike when it's reasonable. Yeah.
Are you one of the few comics? I mean, the other one is Dave Fulton, isn't it? The motorbike comics.
Yeah. Fulton is much more hardcore than me, though. I mean, you know, he's an ice climber, man. But he'll ride that bike through any kind of weather and any kind of distance. Where I've started thinking 2 hours-ish, 2.5 hours distance-wise. That's about my limit on a bike. To enjoy it. I mean, after that, it's like you're just traveling in a slightly cold and inconvenient way. But on a good day, it's fantastic. You know, on nights where I've had a great gig and it's summer evening and the weather's still pleasant and it's somewhere out in the countryside and I'm back on the bike, still with adrenaline in me, and riding through country lanes and up onto the motorway, and I'm in my element. I love to do that. But when it's pissing down with rain and it's cold and you can feel the water seeping through your jacket and your hands have started to freeze to the handlebars and your teeth are chattering and everybody's braking and that you can't see properly and you think you might die any second, then you think, I should have brought the car today. Yeah.
I think it's 60% of the job. It's just getting there.
Yeah. I did a gig on Sunday in Skegness, and
oh my God,
that's just too far. It's too far for one day, but it took me. It's like 3.5 hours each way from southeast London. So I spent 7 hours in a car and half an hour on stage.
Yeah,
and this is what people don't when they hear about. Oh, is that you're earning that money for that? You know, you're earning all that money for 20 minutes. You're like, yeah, but that's what they used to pay me in the 90s. But yeah, it's your day. It's your entire working day a lot of the time, isn't it? From leaving your home to getting back to your home. When you break it down hourly, we're on minimum wage.
Well, there's a place called Maplethorpe, which I think is just down from Skegness, on the coast. And to get there, because I think there's no motorways in that area, you have to go via these A roads, which has got something like 9 hairpin turns in it.
Wow.
And I drove there to get to this gig through the rain and the wind, and it was really stressful. And when I got there, I was so relieved to make it there. And then the other act was Steve Day, and he just came. I saw him in the car park. He just came out of the car. He was already crying. He was crying with relief and fear. Going, and I've got to go back that way.
Wow. Wow.
Oh God!
Yeah, the worst thing is if you're late. I mean, I hate being late because not because I'm so conscientious. I just can't stand the stress as it builds up in me. So I usually leave quite a bit earlier than I have to. But sometimes being on the motorbike for gigs can be inconvenient, even though quite often it gets you through the traffic and all of that. But you have to wear all this gear. And I turned up once at the backyard. I was doubling up and I'd opened somewhere else and then whizzed over there. And I think it was Dave Ward was emceeing. And they had told Dave, we'll let you know as soon as Ben arrives. But I literally walked in with my helmet in my hand, all of this gear, the full gear, boots, motorcycle trousers, leather jacket. And as they saw me, I saw them signal Dave, and Dave went, "Okay, ladies and gentlemen, time for your closing act. It's Ben Norris!" And they went crazy. And all I had time to do was drop my helmet, take the jacket off, and I sort
Oh, God.
of bumble onto stage in these massive bloody over trousers,
Yeah.
motorcycle trousers, and big boots. I looked, and braces, they had braces to keep them up. I looked
Yeah.
utterly ridiculous, and the audience just were looking at me like, well, this is obviously his costume.
Yeah, exactly.
What does it represent?
Yeah, it was
I had to
double
spend
denim
20
last
minutes.
time. What's going on? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just...
Yeah. He's normally really stylish. But not to
Where's the
mention how
denim?
hot
Where's
I
the
was.
denim? They said. Do you know what? That's funny because they're probably wondering whether you were going to do any more material about being on a motorbike, and when you didn't, they got frustrated.
I don't think it was even recognisable to most people as that's what. If it had been clearer that I was a motorcyclist, I think it would have been okay. But
Well, it was a bit
they just
S&M-y.
looked like yeah, they're kind of waxed cotton motorbike trousers, really big and heavy, and big old boots. Not a great look. Not a great look on a bike. Not a great look in a restaurant. Say
No.
I mean, you love comedy, but what do you dislike about it? What's your hates?
When I started, if I was ever on a bill, and obviously you start off doing open spots, and then in those glorious days, you would quite often, if you were good or halfway good, you'd get moved to a half spot, like a 10-minute spot, and paid. Anyway, it was so exciting when I first got on bills, as you know, my name would be in Time Out and stuff like that. Do you remember how exciting that was?
Yeah.
And getting an adjective from Malcolm Hay, you know,
Oh yeah.
reliable.
Yeah, reliable.
Always amusing.
He was quite good at damning with faint praise sometimes.
Oh
I
yeah,
think,
and the
you
worst
know.
one to get was interesting. That was
Interesting. I mean, you might like it. But I basically, if I was on a bill in those days, I was there for the evening. There was no way I was going to arrive just before my bit and then leave after. I was going to arrive long before the show started, and I was going to watch every act. And you know, why wouldn't you? You're new at it. You're learning. You're on a bill with professionals who are really good at it, with years and years and years of experience. Surely you would want to absorb as much of that as you can. And I have to say, I've observed that culture has changed.
Yes.
And I'm genuinely surprised when new, inexperienced acts are uninterested in the rest of the bill. And sometimes from the dressing room onwards, you know, I've been blanked in dressing rooms where everyone else on the bill is, you know, 2 years into the game, and they all know each other, and I've walked in and they're like, who's this old geezer here? Blanked me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm closing the show, and by the time I get to go on, they've all gone, and you're like, wow, they have no interest in. And obviously, I'm generalising. There'll be loads of newer acts who don't fall into this category, but I'm surprised at how many of them just see it as they're there for their bit, and then they're going to go. And I used to love watching all the other acts, and I always used to think there's something we can learn. There's always something you can learn from other people who've been in the game for a long time.
Even people doing it badly, I think you can learn something from.
Yeah, you can learn, don't do that. Stop saying just me then.
Yeah.
It can lead, and I love that as well, when you get somebody on a bill that's turned up late and then they just do exactly the same thing as the first or second act. And
Yeah.
they just go, hey, what's up with, crisps? And everyone just goes, oh, for fuck's sake.
What
Crisps
flavour?
have been, yeah,
We've had cheese and onion.
yeah, come on.
It's when they go and talk to exactly the same person that everyone else has talked to.
Yeah, oh,
And then they
God.
go, what's your name? And the rules goes, everyone knows it's Dick. Everyone knows it's Dick now. Just leave Dick alone. We've had it with Dick.
You can see he's got no trousers on.
Yeah. And his ginger head. And we know that's why you're talking to him, because everyone else has.
I mean, we've all fallen foul of that. That still happens occasionally if I've turned up, if I've doubled up, if I've been lucky enough to double. But I always try and say, who's been talked to? Who should I avoid? Has anything happened in the room that they would expect me to know about? Because they're always they're always very surprised that you haven't watched every second of the show, and sometimes you just can't, right? But when you can, it's always best to know what's happened in the room.
But I always try and get there early anyway, because I still love watching other comics.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know whether you find this, but I mean, I still love comedy and being in the room, especially watching someone that's really good. Sometimes I was on a few years ago, and Harry Hill was like doing a tryout, and I enjoyed it so much. But then towards the end of his set, I just remember thinking, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I've got to come on after him, you know.
It is genuinely sometimes very galling if somebody on directly before you, smashes the room, because you know that it's going to be much tougher now. You've just got to think, I've got a different style, I've got a different agenda.
Yeah.
Hopefully a good compare will kind of clear the decks. And do you know what I mean? That's when the compare is so important. When somebody has smashed the room like that, the compare comes back on and just settles them a little bit and gets them ready for another flavour, you know. And I think it's really good for you. It's really good for you as a newer act, especially to find a way to go on after someone who's great and be as good as you can be.
What about the opposite, when someone's shit?
That can be even harder.
Yes,
I
think
hard.
so. I do.
Because the audience have gone, oh, this isn't a very good quality product that we've bought here. You know, that's the problem. I mean, it can work one of two ways. It can be really tough because someone's just died before you, or it can be an absolute godsend because, you know, there's a lot of tension in the audience, and they go, oh, at last we're in safe hands, and then you can rip it. But what about when you're on stage and you sort of notice out of the corner of your eye the dressing room door is opened, and it's very normal for an act or two to come out of the dressing room and check you out while you're on for a bit. Yeah. But when that door opens and they've all come out, somebody has put their head round the door and said, "You've got to come and see this. Norris is dying on his arse." You know,
it's like the meerkats, horrible comedy meerkats. Ooh, look.
I mean, let's be honest. That vicarious, Schadenfreude is a delightful thing to witness sometimes, isn't it? But not when you're on stage.
Well, I tell you what, that once happened to me at the old Comedy Store, the first one, not the first, the second one, in Leicester Square, where I was actually on stage. I thought I was having a good gig. And then people used to come round the corner, didn't they, with their glass in hand. And so one person came, two people, and I remember just thinking, oh, fuck, I'm dying. And then about 10 people had just stood there with that look on. Oh, my God. I will say, by the way, because both of you guys are, you know, you're well known for being very good MCs. I always think as well, if an act's gone badly, sometimes they take it out on the MC because the MC has introduced the act and gone, this next act, I can't tell you how good they are. And then when they go down badly, the audience is going, you lied to us.
Yes, that is true.
Do you know what? That's why if I'm emceeing and I don't know the act at all, I certainly won't say, "What an amazingly funny person I'm bringing up to you now," because I think if you're endorsing someone and they're no good.
What about when you know they're no good?
You've lost the trust. so you have to say something like, "Coming up now is the next act," and what I can tell you about them is that they're on now. And when I did that Sunday night Malcolm Hardy open spot, which was a legendary on the circuit at that time, and the place used to fill up, didn't it? About 10 o'clock, whole load of other blokes like taxi drivers and drug dealers and thieves would come. They would just file in the back. They weren't interested in seeing the professional comics who'd been on. No. They wanted to see somebody die. And Malcolm loved that. But I remember doing that open spot, and Malcolm introduced me like this. He said, "It's a bloke coming up next." Well, he's just there, look. Just there, look. I was standing at the side of the stage. And then he went, "He looks a bit nervous, doesn't he? Looks a bit nervous. Anyway, here he comes. Ben Norris." So, I come on to...
God.
Yeah.
And
I did die spectacularly really quickly. And I remember at the time I'd just started doing tens in places, and I was pretty self-confident. I thought I had a good set, and I couldn't believe that it wasn't working. It was like, these jokes work, how dare you? And I sort of started having a go at these geezers, telling them, you're not comedy fans, what do you know about it? Which Malcolm loved. He absolutely loved. He couldn't wait to book me for another one. You know, 'cause that was his joy, seeing somebody fail.
What do you think the future of comedy is? It's a big one, but where is comedy going?
I thought you meant where's it gone? Where's it gone?
Where are you going?
I left it here, and it's gone. What is the future? Well, I'm reasonably optimistic, because I every time there's a little bit of a lull, which seems to happen cyclically, comics tend to panic, and we're always like, oh, that's it. I think the game's up. The circuit's over. It's all, and that's happened quite a few times in my memory of 30 years of stand up. I think we do have blips, and I think it comes back, because I think there's a whole new generation of people all the time who discover the joy of just sitting in a room with other people and laughing, because you don't get to do that often.
We do talk to a lot of people and say that they're worried about AI's effect on comedy. What do you think?
Sorry, what?
I knew it.
I've no idea if that looked realistic, but we've done our best to render myself. The genie's out of the bottle, isn't it, with AI? It's bound to have some influence, isn't it? It's bound to.
Yeah.
People are probably already using AI as a tool to help them write stand-up. It's a tool that's good for throwing up other people's ideas. That's good. Hey, here's some other people's ideas. I found some other people's ideas for you. Would you like to steal these? I hope people will better sense the difference between something genuine and, real, and something that is just a, facsimile of a whole generic facsimile. Although we've all seen comics who are that even long before AI. They were ahead of the curve there. Wow, this is like a facsimile of generic comedy.
How are we doing for time, Paul?
I think it's time. I feel like it's time.
Oh, that's what my wife said to me a couple of years ago. I think it's time. She arranged it for me to live in this little tiny flat alone.
Well, it looks lovely.
It's okay. I can't afford it. This is the only bit I'm willing to show you. It's all right. It's okay. It's quite expensive being, single and also supporting a family financially. But hey, it's my fault for not being lovable enough.
We're going to cut this bit out.
Well,
because we want to keep viewers, don't want to depress them.
I think they need to see the grit and the
Do they?
the reality.
Yes, the warp and the weft.
So what part of the South?
West.
Are you in South East London?
But yeah, I live near Beckenham.
Oh yes, you live near me, don't you? But we never meet up because I want to maintain a happy outlook. So that's
don't want to meet this depressing old bastard.
Well, look, if it's going to be like that, I'll come see my flat. It's just really expensive. I don't know how I afford it, really. Oh, dear. It's been lovely talking to you, Ben. Yeah, I'll just.
Thank you, mate. Nice to see you all.
Yeah, well, thank you. We'd like to say thank you very much for being on the show. I think actually we've solved the whole of the problems of modern comedy within the last 45 minutes. I think they're all solved, aren't they? Yeah.
Yes. Until the next episode, then we just dig it all up again and say it's not solved.
And we haven't even touched on the thorny subject of money. But there we go.
Are there any gigs that pay in Bitcoin yet? I mean, that seems to be where it's all going.
I think someone has offered it. I've been offered payment in illicit substances, which I did actually take that one up, actually, because they hold their value better than sterling.
Surely not once you've imbibed them.
Yeah, that was the fallacy. Yeah, I made a mistake there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, thank you very much, Ben, for being on the show.
Thanks,
And,
guys.
see you soon.
Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
See you
Cheers, mate.
later.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
All right. So that was Ben Norris talking to us live from somewhere near Beckenham in southeast London in his
know
lovely new man pad. Well, if you've enjoyed this show, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, tell your mates.
Participate. That's what we want. And also, spread the good word around. Spread the good word. And I suppose, Paul, we should give a heavy plug as well.
Yes,
to our,
yes, we should.
Forthcoming live performance.
Yes, October the 18th at the Bedford in Balham at the Cheerful Earful Podcast Festival, 12:45. It's an hour show. We'll be talking to Robin Ince of Infinite Monkey fame.
It's only £5. So please get on down there. Come on down. It's a brilliant festival. There's about 50 podcasts over the weekend, but come to ours on the 18th of October, Saturday the 18th of October.
So we're going to say goodbye now.
Bye.
Because you started waving. So goodbye, everybody. And we'll see you in a week or so's time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
They said you should have been here last week. I swear, you should have been here last week. Oh yeah, you should have been here last